Most people can only imagine the history seen inside these wooden walls, but some can still tell you the stories themselves.
It was unique, all right. Walk 8 miles in the cold.
My feet and hands would be so cold when I got to the school.
It's not so much the journey of this building itself that people want saved, but the journey of those who once filled this now empty room.
I was born on January 2nd, 1936.
July the 28th, 1930.
We've always been close. Even now, we're closer than we were before.
I started school in 1936. I was 6 years old when I started.
I started in 1942. I was 6 years old. And we did walk to school. It was 8 miles.
This is what's left of the Cornland School. A one-room schoolhouse originally built in the early 1900s for African-American students. An hours-long walk that Cornland's still surviving graduates remember.
I am what I am right now, 88 years old. And I had to walk about 7 miles by myself most of the time.
Well, you would walk, you would sing, you would play, hop, skip, run. Any way to get to school fast, you would do it.
On 7 miles, it was quite a journey to walk, yeah. Because my feet and hands would be so cold when I got to the school.
We was going to school. We didn't have electricity, running water. We had a pump that we had to pump water and bring it in and put it in a bucket and set it on a table with a dipper. And you had to get water out of that dipper and put it in your cup and drink it. We didn't have water fountains. That's what we went through to get an education.
So great that now we have people who are still living who can tell that story about having walked 8 miles, one way in the cold and the rain and the snow and without a bus to still carry on and to get to a building that had no electricity, no inside bathrooms, having to go outside. So, but it's a resilience, it's an appreciation for getting an education.
That's the way it was. Yeah, it didn't bother me at all. The only thing I was concerned about getting an education.
This was really a need, and it still is today because it lets people know what it was like. And I just think it helps to develop an appreciation for education. Yeah. But this is where it, came from.
For years, the Cornland School had fallen into disrepair on private property near the Great Dismal Swamp. That's when the community sought out Chesapeake City Councilwoman Dr. Ella Ward for help.
I think that this was private property, the Sneed's property. I was sure that school was originally located in 1903. And they approached me, Wanda and Randy Sneed, and they wanted my help because they knew I was on city council. They knew me, they had, voted for me and all of that. They came to me and asked me if I could help them preserve this building, which was Cornland School, and her husband had attended that school. So no, I had not seen it at that time. They said, well, it's on our property, and we want to, try to save it. And it was just unbelievable because it was pretty much almost buried in the woods. It had, weeds coming all out of the windows. It was in real poor condition, and trees all grown up around it. I was like, you want me to help you save this? It just looked like there's no way this could happen. Couldn't walk in. I was afraid. We didn't walk in immediately because the trees and bushes were almost covering it. But they were determined.
When people first started talking about preserving this structure, it really was kind of a local grassroots community initiative that eventually was able to get support from the elected officials from the state, from the federal government.
Jessica Cosmas is the Historical Services Manager for Chesapeake Parks and Recreation. When one of many overseeing the restoration of the historic Cornland School.
Currently, we are in the midst of, physically preserving the structure of the schoolhouse and then building amenities around it so that people can come and learn about the school, but also learn how it ties into the larger Chesapeake community, how it ties into the stories that were happening in the Dismal Swamp. From the superintendent of education, from his journal essentially, that in December 1902, they essentially paid to have the 1800 school dismantled, and then they paid for a new one to go up. So this structure dates, that's that replacement new building in 1902. A lot of the money for the restoration is coming from the federal government, specifically the Agency of Housing and Urban Development. They have allocated $3 million for the project, and currently about $1 million of that is earmarked just towards Cornland.
Restoring the school means preserving the memories of Cornland's still surviving alumni. Memories that are a reminder of how much can change within one lifetime.
I didn't ride a school bus or nothing the whole time that I went to school. Yeah, but I had the white children, they were on the bus riding by me,
White children would ride in the school buses, wave at you, throw things at you. The bus driver stopped the bus one day and a child got off the bus and picked up rocks and threw them at us. It was hard to see them riding and we walking, and all of us trying to get an education. No, I didn't brush it off, and I still think about it today. No, I didn't brush it off.
No, you couldn't brush something like that off. It was just...
It hurt to think that all of us are human, but we're not treated like humans.
That's right.
We're treated different, just because of the color of our skin. We can't help the color of our skin.
No, we can't.
God made us the way that He wanted us to be.
The fact that they've been able to open up about themselves and more painful memories that they had, that's not an easy thing to do.
Crews are on month 4 of their restoration project, making repairs to renew this piece of Chesapeake history. The school's 4 walls and roof have been stripped down, reinforced, and reinstalled to better withstand time.
It's still standing, which is kind of incredible in itself. A lot of these other, several one-room schoolhouses were shut down. And so the fact that this one really has stood the test of time and hasn't been torn down is something that, I think is really special.
Cosmas admits there is a pressure to complete the school this spring to honor Cornland's surviving alumni.
I feel like there's a good amount of pressure to, again, make sure that this story reflects how they remember it.
There are not a lot of alumni left, are there?
No. And from the time they first had, started it, they had the opening at the school, at our church. It was about 30-some people, and it's about half of them gone now. It's very few of us left now. I think the oldest one is about 95. And then it's another one, and then I'm next in line.
They're worried about living to see the final touches on the school, but they're hopeful that day comes sooner rather than later.
Something, deep in my heart, because, I had to walk there for all those years. It's be such a great, I just can't explain it. I hope I live to see it finish.
And in late June, that worry faded away.
You know I know who that is.
Dr. West, how you doing? All right.
Oh, you're just as beautiful as ever.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're looking good.
You do
Thank
too.
you for being here.
I came here in the fifth grade, I think it was, whatever year that was. I think it was 47.
Yeah, I wanted to say 47.
Yeah.
Pauline Smith is 89 years old. She still remembers the sacrifices she and her fellow classmates endured.
The only thing I can remember is when I was walking to school and how the white kids riding the white bus would throw whatever they had out on us. But when we came here, you didn't know nothing to do but just try and listen to what the teacher said.
The struggles of Cornland's former students are now stories of inspiration.
That it is more than just a building. It's what that building represents. That building represents all the struggles that you went through before Plessy versus Ferguson. When you think about the education system that was so segregated, you know, it just brings back memories for many of you who struggled. And I believe that those struggles God honors because he turns them into blessings. And I believe this day is one of those blessings that he has turned it into.
The Cornland School is open.
Welcome back to school!
Once again.
Still visualize it when I was coming to this, you know, before the moving that did anything. And see that the good work that they done. They did a marvelous job.
Where a once symbol of division is now a symbol of strength.
Ever since I started talking about it, I've been looking forward to seeing it. And today I saw it, and I went through it. And I'm thankful.
A working museum honoring how Cornland's students never let anything stand in the way of an education.
Getting my exercise for the day.
Their stories are no longer hidden. The end of a journey they weren't sure they would ever get to see.
Well, I didn't think I would live to see them finish it. I didn't. I told them they had it. I didn't think I would live to see them finish it, but thank God they finished it. And I'm thankful.
In Chesapeake, Alex Littlehales for 13 News Now.